secondary is pitiful, and somehow that's been masked. But he looked like Joe Namath out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you see this guy Jordan Love is like, where did he come from, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Lions' defense really has been questionable at best lately. I mean, you give up 26 to the Bears, 38 to the Chargers. I mean, that's not really a championship defense. So Detroit should win the North and finally get to host a playoff game for the first time in like 30 years. But we should probably pump the brakes on the Super Bowl talk. This team's probably a year away from thinking on that far ahead.
Yeah, could you really see them beating San Francisco? And then let's just talk about the Niners for a
I mean, if
second.
the
I think they
49ers
got
get all their
Jack and Nate.
quarterbacks hurt again like they did last year, then yes.
Yeah, that thrashing of Seattle. I mean, the Seahawks were never in that game at
Yeah.
home, so that thing's over. And you look at you look at that team. I know they had the 3-game losing streak. Some of their players were out, but when they're at full strength, I don't see anybody beating it. I mean, that defense was suffocating, and then McCaffrey, guy's unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Philadelphia, like, we will never know what would have happened if the 49ers had been healthy last year, but I do agree that I think when fully healthy, San Francisco is the slightly better of the two.
I think so, also. And then, of course, a big Monday night game where the Chiefs have a at home up 17-7 at the half, get shut out in the second half by Philadelphia. I mean, that's got to be a wake up call for them, also, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't see that game. I was working on the Maui all of Monday through Wednesday, so I've basically been all basketball all the time this week. But yeah, that was quite a statement from the Eagles.
I think we got Jack and Nate back in. Jack, are you there?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear Jack.
Yeah.
Nate,
Yeah,
happy
I'm here too.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I did. A great Thanksgiving.
All right. Well, I'm gonna turn the thing over to Jack now. Jack, go ahead.
Did we do the open?
Yep, we're on the air, ready to go.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Sorry for the delay there. I'm working off some new technology, and of course, it didn't work, which is almost always the case. I've learned with radio is anytime you buy a new microphone or something, it takes about 2 weeks for it to actually work. So at some point it'll work, but right now it's not. So we're here though, the couple days after Thanksgiving, ready to talk a little bit of college football. We got a big schedule for the college football rivalry weekend this weekend for college football. So be a lot of fun. We're going to talk to Dan Angel here, you've been hearing him talk about the NFL a little bit. We're going to switch in a minute to college. He's going to talk to us about the big college schedule, including all of the big games and the Ohio State-Michigan game, which will end with senior contributor Dan Angel from Godzilla Wins. And, of course, Nate Perry, as always, senior editor, is going to join us as well. At the top of the hour, we're going to do the NFL. We'll do all the NFL games. Looks like you guys did a little bit of recap for Thanksgiving, so we may skip that or we may circle back to it. A lot of big games, though. Also, that Dolphins game last night. It's a lot of big NFL. We'll be joined by James Tillman III for half of that show, and at 9:30 Eastern Time, Mitch Rogers will come on and talk about some of those night games, some big implications as we get into the NFL weekend. But, Dad, first, before we get into the show, how can people listening, if they live in a state where DraftKings is legal, how can they get involved with the Godzilla Wins promo code here, which is, in my opinion, the greatest promo code in the history of promo codes?
Well, I tell you what, if you watch football or basketball or anything like that, and you want a little action on the game, DraftKings is the way to go. They really have the best app. But the thing is, right now, if you just download their app, if you're a new player, it doesn't matter if you're with one of the other online companies. If you're a new player with DraftKings right now, you just go to DraftKings.com, you download their app, which is free. Download the app, you put in $5. I mean, come on, guys. It's Thanksgiving, right? We've all got $5, right? You can't tell me you don't have $5. You bet $5. You pick any game that we're talking about today. You pick any basketball game, anything you want. You're going to get $200 in free bets instantly. This is instantly. That means immediately. As soon as you bet that $5, you don't have to win or lose. You're going to get $200 in free bonus bets instantly that you can then bet anything that you want. And if you win, you get the money. So they're giving you $200. And then you're going to have a lot of fun this weekend. You got a lot of big games. A lot of big games are Sunday. Maybe you turn that into something, but it's all about having a lot of fun. So just download the DraftKings app, put in promo code Godzilla, put $5 in, make any bet, any $5 bet. You have to make a bet for $5. You're going to get $200 in free bets instantly. They've got to be utilized within about 168 hours. So that's 5 days. So you just can't sit on it forever. So go have some fun this weekend, and then you're good to go. And you just got to put in promo code Godzilla. Now, if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, just call the gambling problem helpline 888-532-3500. You're good to go. And even if you're a regular player, always go to the DraftKings app because they've got freebies and bonuses every day. A lot of them on parlay, same game parlays, profit boost. Every day they're up there. So you want to check that out on Godzilla Wins. I'm sorry, on your DraftKings app, promo code Godzilla.
That's right. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. It's 1-800-426-2537 in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 800-327-5050. Visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. In Massachusetts, call 877-G-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY to 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas, and New Hampshire, 888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org in Oregon. Okay, let's get to some of the games here. Super excited to talk about a lot of these. I want to start y'all with Arizona State. I know Arizona State isn't exactly juggernaut right now, the Sun Devils, but Arizona, we've talked about them a lot this year. They've kind of been up and down, but a ranked team and a good one nonetheless. Dan, we'll start with you. Arizona's a 13-point favorite. Is this a spread they can cover?
This is absolutely a spread that they can cover. The Wildcats have been improving every single week, and this is really a situation where Washington is honestly probably a little bit glad that Oregon beat Oregon State yesterday, which, don't get me wrong, that's still going to be a very challenging game for the Huskies in the Pac-12 championship. But the last thing Washington wanted to see was Arizona for the second time this year, because they know how good Arizona is, and Arizona State is playing with a lot of effort and emotion the last few weeks. I mean, the Sun Devils are certainly not as bad as their record shows, but they're not on the Wildcats level at this point. So I think the 13 is certainly something that Arizona can cover. I think they come out and make a statement here.
Nate, can the Wildcats cover this spread here?
I agree with Dan. We're just starting off.
Hot.
Just right away. I agree with Dan. I mean, Arizona State's, I agree, not as bad. I mean, they're 6-2 against the spread in Pac-12 play, so that's pretty good. The problem is when they've played really good teams like Oregon or Utah, they've just gotten totally blown out, and they've given up a bazillion points to both of them. I think Arizona's probably on that level. So, yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable laying 13. I think I'd be comfortable laying 2 touchdowns with this for sure.
Dad, you have never been one to sneeze after a big spread. Can you lay the wood here, or do you want to take the underdog?
This is my best bet of the week. I love Arizona. It opened at 10, went to 10.5, now 12, then to 13. I should have bet at 10.5. I'm going to lay the 13. This is my best bet of the week, and I'm going to tell you why. Arizona State is in a downward spiral, probably the worst right now in college football. They've lost 6 straight. Their team has been decimated. They've been decimated with injuries. Right now, on their offensive line, they can't even field an offensive line of scholarship players. So 2 of their offensive linemen walk-ons, no scholarship. Doesn't mean they're bad players, but obviously you're going to have a real gap there. They're the 5th worst offense nationally. They're averaging 17.2 points a game. So I just see them getting here blown out. I mean, Arizona's got a shot at getting into the Pac-12 championship. I think, Oregon's got to get beat. But
Oregon won last night, so that's over.
Okay, Oregon won last night. I was at a movie. By the way, sidebar, I saw Napoleon last night with the family. Best movie I've ever seen. You got to go see that. That was a 10 5-star film, A to Z, cinematics, war scenes, depiction of history. That's my sidebar. Got to see that. Napoleon again. You got to see it on the big screen. That's the other thing. Can't do one of those TV things. You're not going to get the image of the battlefield. Having said that, I like Arizona here minus 13. Arizona State's not going to be able to compete with them. Blowout. Best bet of the week.
Best bet of the week. You always come in with about 6 best bets of the week. So
I like best bets.
Best bet, yeah, best bet of the week, best movie you've ever seen, best Thanksgiving ever.
Oh, it was the best Thanksgiving ever. Yes,
never short of some optimism there.
Great Thanksgiving.
Just a terrific couple days all around for my dad there.
Plus, I saw my first Penguins game.
Best Penguins
game. Wow, best hockey game.
Yeah, best hockey game you ever seen.
I would say hockey was. I haven't seen a hockey game since 1983. So this is only the second hockey game I've ever seen.
Dang.
So I had to look up the rules, but then your brother explained it to me, like icing and all this stuff. So we got to figure it out. But we had a great time, and I tell you, I don't know who covers hockey here, but I'm not a hockey guy. But the Rangers are really good.
Man.
The Rangers are good, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you add a player of Lafreniere's caliber to what was already a pretty solid team, then yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
we had so much fun. I would say that that was being it was really only the first hockey game I've been to as an adult, and I'm 65. Ann and I, Joe, had so much fun at that game. We had great seats. Penguins is a great arena, and it was a blast. So I'm gonna go back. I think I'm a Penguins fan now.
Yeah, well.
Oh God.
We'll work in some Penguin segments for
oh Lord
talk about. I'm sure Dan will be super.
That's one thing my brother and I have always agreed on sports wise is our mutual disdain for the Penguins.
Why?
Because he's a Capitals fan and I'm a Senators fan, and we're both sick of losing to them in the playoffs, or at least I would be if Ottawa ever got there anymore.
Well, Dan, nothing would cement your hate for the Penguins more if my dad, someone who doesn't even know the rules of hockey, started becoming a Penguins fan, and every week came.
I mean,
taunted you,
Jack. Nothing is going to top losing the Eastern Conference Finals in double overtime, Game 7 to Pittsburgh 7 years ago. Yeah. That was just a heartbreaker.
I'm sure you're not still thinking about that.
All right, so for Dan,
we haven't been in the playoffs since.
I got to finish here. So the Rangers are up 1-0 in the first period, I think, or maybe the second, early in the second period. Penguins tie it, so everybody's cheering. Tie game, right? Got a goal, and the coach of the Rangers has a coach's challenge, offside challenge. And we're like, what? Offside challenge. And they showed on the screen where I guess 2 of the skates have to be totally over the line. Well, his second skate was over by like 2 inches. I don't know how they even saw that, but coach's challenge, coach on the Rangers win. They take out the goal. Penguins get beat 1-0. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. It happens.
Let's move on to the North Carolina Tar Heels traveling to NC State here. This line is a little bit closer, 2.5. I think it's NC State minus 2.5, if I'm not mistaken. Dan North Carolina 2.5. That's why I double checked.
Yeah.
So this is one of those situations, Dan, and we see this a lot, especially in college football, where you've got a team that's ranked like NC State, and they're at home, but you're catching points. That could mean a couple things. Could mean that Vegas doesn't really believe in NC State. Could be an injury issue. Could be anything. In North Carolina is not ranked, but of course UNC is a good football team. Dan, what do you think?
I mean, it's in large part because State just has not looked impressive when they have won. They rely so much on their defense that you look at their recent results, and it's 4 straight wins, but none of them have really been all that impressive, other than maybe Clemson at home, mean, beating Miami, okay. Wake Forest and Virginia Tech, neither of those are all that solid, and they got whacked pretty good at Duke. But Carolina just has that success allergy that I've talked about before, and the Heels cannot really stop anyone. So I don't know. I think I have to lean towards State in the points here, and I think the Wolfpack can make this more of a defensive game than Carolina is used to playing.
Dad, you want to take the points with the Wolfpack there?
Yes. Yeah. These are tough games at home. The spread's been all over the board. Quarterback Sam Howell, questionable. Running back DJ Jones, questionable. Man, I don't know.
If Sam Howell plays, that's a miracle.
Yeah. Well, they've had.
He's out of eligibility.
Quarterback's been hurt. I don't like these games. I don't like these games where you're laying points on the road. I don't know. This to me is the toughest game on the card.
Oh, okay. So
I don't really have. This is one of those games where I feel like whoever I play, I'm gonna lose. Right? Sometimes you just have those games like whoever I bet I'm gonna lose. So I don't have any play at all in this game. Don't like it.
Well, let's move on then. We're a little behind anyway because we've been talking hockey and everything else. So we'll move on to Kentucky, Louisville. Here, Louisville is a 7.5-point favorite. Over under is 49.5. Kentucky been an up and down season, Dan, for the Wildcats. Kentucky's not a bad football team, but Louisville's still top 10, pretty proven in some of their wins. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be Louisville's time to finally get one over on Kentucky. I mean, seeing what Kentucky did against South Carolina, which not exactly a strong football team there, I just don't see Kentucky continuing the win streak. I mean, the Wildcats have dominated this series as of late. They've won 5 of the past 6, but this Louisville team seems to finally have a direction under Brian Brom, and I think that there's going to be a lot of pent-up frustration in this game, and Louisville comes out and easily covers this number.
Nate, you feel the same way? I kind of agree with Dan there. I think Louisville really wants this game.
I mean, I think Louisville does really want this game. I think that it's a lot of pressure on a Louisville team that I'm still not convinced is like awesome, though. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this show, how sort of like walking back my sort of belief in Louisville. I guess like I kind of am afraid to play the spread. I don't think a total is bad in this play. I kind of think that this might be like kind of an underplay for me. It's just, both offenses play pretty slow. I'd expect both of them to try and run it quite a bit. So I kind of lean under, but I'm going to stay away from the spread, even though I kind of think that Kentucky might be the move.
Dad, I know you like Louisville here.
God, no. There's no way I'm betting Louisville and laying 7.5 against a competitive SEC team. There's no way I'm doing this. You know what? You look at Louisville sometimes and you say, wow, they got a lot of speed. They got a lot of offensive weapons. Kentucky is a very solid SEC team. You give me an SEC team that's not Vanderbilt or Mississippi State right now and you give me 7.5, I'm going to take that play all day. The caliber of the play in the SEC, guys, is just so much better than any of these other conferences. So they have that competition.
Not this year.
I mean, it's SEC football. They get the best skill players in the country go to the SEC, right? Everyone knows that. It's the best conference. So I'm going to get Kentucky on the road here at 7.5. I think they win the whole game. I love the Wildcats here. Second best bet of the day.
Yeah, just all those best bets. I'm not, I watch a lot of SEC football and I just don't really agree with your analysis there. I don't actually think it's been the strongest conference this year. I think the Pac-12 has been much stronger.
Yep.
And the thing with Kentucky is that they're 6-5, but okay, first off, they lost to South Carolina, which South Carolina sucks. So, and that was like last week. They got blown out by Alabama. They beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State stinks. They lost to Tennessee in a pretty close one. They got crushed by Missouri. They got crushed by Georgia. I mean, they don't have a signature win. There's nothing like we keep saying that Kentucky is good, but I'm not sure why. There's nothing on this schedule that you can say, oh, wow, yeah, they beat a team that's pretty good. I mean, they beat Florida. Great. Good for them. I mean, I think we're really I think we think of Kentucky, if you haven't actually watched them play this year, as a team that's like a pretty good team in the SEC East that's been competitive over the past couple of years. And I don't think that that's actually true this year. They're 6-5. I think they're going to be 6-6, and they're going to get beat up pretty bad here against Louisville. So I don't really agree with Dad's analysis there. Not a big Kentucky fan this year. So, but
one other thing about Kentucky's schedule, unless Florida can upset Florida State or South Carolina can knock off Clemson, Kentucky, unless they can beat Louisville, will have beaten 0 bowl teams all year.
Right. I mean, they beat Akron, so good for them.
2-10.
I mean, they beat
Akron, Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, not a great strength of schedule there. Really haven't shown up against good teams.
But do you guys really think Louisville is the 10th best nation?
I do. I think Louisville is really good. I mean, I think the ACC has a lot of good football.
I don't think Kentucky's very good this year.
Yeah, and like, who cares if Louisville's the 10th team? They're still better than Kentucky by 7.5 points. Let's move on to Clemson, South Carolina. So we'll stay kind of in the area there. Clemson is now ranked again. Really put on a strong second half. Dabo Swinney is an incredible coach. So at some point, you knew that they were going to at least start to win a little bit here. They're a 7.5 point favorite against South Carolina Gamecocks, who suck. Dan, is Clemson a 7.5 point? Can they cover that spread, or would you rather have something a little bit lower?
Yeah, I don't really trust either team in this situation. Like, if I had to do something here, I would probably tease South Carolina with somebody else.
There we go.
Because I think I just can't see Clemson covering that number, because Clemson just is not as good as its record suggests. Yeah, they're on a bit of a hot streak win-wise, but they haven't really looked that impressive all season. And South Carolina did win this game last year at Clemson. So I think that there is a chance South Carolina could pull the upset. I certainly wouldn't bet it. I would probably throw South Carolina in with somebody else and get the Gamecocks at like plus 13.5.
Nate, you're the king of teasers. What do you think?
I don't know if you need to tease it. I think Clemson just rolls South Carolina this week. I mean, Clemson's good, and they've been playing, pretty well. They've scored a bunch of points their last few weeks. And there's just like a lot of issues that, like, I just don't trust South Carolina. Spencer Rattler's, been pretty good, but Clemson's got a really good pass defense. They're 5th in opponent completion percentage, 3rd in yards per pass allowed. That's really good. That should slow down Rattler. They can't protect him at all. Clemson gets a bunch of pressure on the quarterback. This just looks like a bad matchup for a not very good South Carolina team. I just feel like Clemson's better on both sides. Like, I don't see why they don't just dominate.
Dad, you like the 7.5 here?
Yeah, no, big momentum here. Clemson's turned around in the second half. Dabo Swinney's not going to get beat in this game at South Carolina when he's had such a good second half. And the Gamecocks, I mean, they played a couple of competitive games, right? The game against Georgia early in the season where they had the lead in the third quarter at the half or something. So they've played good football now and again. But when you got a team that's hot like Clemson with something to prove, with a chip on their shoulder, going into this rivalry game, and they had underperformed really the first half of the season, 7.5 just doesn't seem like a lot for me. They got a very explosive offense, so I'm going to easily lay the 7.5. I think this game goes up to 8. So if you're on Clemson, I would get in this early. Because if they win by 8, you want to be able to win the bet. But I think it could go up 8.5.
Yeah. Clemson had a rough year last year. They were a mess, so they lost to South Carolina. But before that, I mean, I know it's a different Clemson team, but in this rivalry, they've just owned South Carolina. Other than last year, Clemson has not lost since 2013 when South Carolina beat them. And South Carolina was good back then. That program's gone in the wrong direction. I think it could be a blowout here. I like I like what Nate's saying. They do have a good pass defense. They've been putting up a lot of points, but we'll see. We'll see. Now, Dad, one of the reasons that we are able to have this show, one of the reasons that you're able to stay so fresh in the morning, every morning, not just today, but every morning that you wake up and do your radio show, is because of Healthy Cell's REM Sleep, some of the best sleep products on the market. Tell our listeners how they can get involved with REM Sleep, where they can take advantage of some of the best sleep products on the market.
You got to go to Healthy Cell. You got to go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Get your REM sleep there. I got to tell you, my whole family's on it. Mom takes it. I take it. Jack takes it. Claire, I just got her 3-month supply. We were talking to her on Thanksgiving in Fort Lauderdale. She was having trouble sleeping. Now she sleeps like a baby. This stuff is Joseph, who's been home for a week, takes it every night. By the way, your brother has averaged, get this, he's been home 7 days. He's averaging 11 and a half hours of sleep a day. So obviously for him, it's working. He's got plenty of rest, but we all take it. And I got to take it every day because I only get 6 or 7 hours, 6.5 hours, but I got to get up. I got to be at top of my game at 6 a.m. I get up at 3:50 every day. REM sleep is going to change your whole attitude because it puts you into that very deep sleep. This is the best thing you could possibly buy for your health. Everything gets replenished. Sleep cannot be overestimated. All right. So just go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 20% off. Get your REM sleep today. They're a big sponsor of us. The first night you take it, 15 minutes before you go to bed, you're going to fall right to sleep. You're going to sleep like a baby. You're going to dream. And that's going to go on every single day. And it's all natural because it supports all 4 stages of sleep. Nothing else can do that. healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, REM sleep, 20% off. You're going to sleep like a baby and get up like me every day, fresh as a daisy.
Fresh as a daisy. Okay, next game on the schedule here, and I don't know why I put this game on the schedule, y'all. I really don't know what I was thinking, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Cal at UCLA. So Cal is traveling to Los Angeles to play UCLA. I don't think we've talked about either team all year. Maybe UCLA once. I must have just been picking games here.
I love this game. I'm glad you put this game on the schedule, so I'm going to start. I love this game, and I love Cal +9 because this is going to be the end of the Chip Kelly era. I'm so sick of this guy. He thinks he invented college football. Screw you. He's out. He should have got fired after they got shellacked a week ago by USC.
They won that game.
They won that game, John.
They won that game.
They shellacked USC.
They okay. So what I meant is, if he didn't shellac USC 38-20, he was going to get fired, right? So now he keeps his job. Cal, if Cal wins this game, not only do they get to be bowl eligible, but actually they have an outside shot for a New Year's Day bowl. So I'm going to go with Cal and 9 here.
What?
I'm sick of Chip.
No.
I'm sick of Chip Kelly. I'm sick of these people.
Cal, okay, John, in what universe does Cal make a New Year's Six bowl even if they win this at 6-6?
They don't. Yeah.
Well, because look,
Cal was about 20 plane crashes away from a New Year's bowl.
Yeah,
very specific plane crashes.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad that you're expressing a lot of verve for this game, but your analysis didn't make any sense. So we're gonna go to Danny.
Okay, do you guys agree with me that Chip Kelly is a disaster here?
No,
I think you still might be in REM sleep. This is just your subconscious just running wild on the radio.
Screw Chip Kelly.
Maybe a little too much REM sleep.
Nate for the win.
Yeah, no, Chip Kelly's he's fine. He's like a terrific coach, and UCLA's they're fine. I think they're happy with him. I don't know why they wouldn't be. Dan, can you give us some serious analysis here for a moment?
I don't think this game is going to be close. I mean, the thing that Cal does so well relatively speaking, is run the football. Nobody runs the football on UCLA. They're the best run defense in the Pac-12. And Cal has gotten blasted on the road 3 times this year. The one exception was Stanford, which Stanford is pretty terrible. The Cardinal managed to lose to Sacramento State earlier this year, which gives you a pretty good idea of that talent level. So I don't expect this to be close. One bet I really do like here is whatever UCLA's team total is to go over that, because you look at some of these scores that Cal is giving up away from home: 59 to Washington, 63 to Oregon, 34 to Utah's third string, I think. So there's a really good possibility that UCLA puts up a lot of points, but no, I don't think this will be close at all. I think the Bruins roll.
Yeah, so UCLA team total. I mean, I've got for DraftKings, you can get team total touchdowns over 3.5, and they've got some first half stuff. So, Nate, what do you think?
I agree with Dan again. UCLA is just a lot better than. I mean, Cal's just not good. And the issue for UCLA has been a lot of sort of offensive inconsistency at times, especially when they've had some quarterback injuries, blah, blah. The good news is that, A, the quarterbacks look healthy, and B, Cal's defense is terrible. More often than not, if you play in the Pac-12 and you play Cal, you're going to score upwards of 34 points this season. I think they've given up 34 or more in 5 of its 7 Pac-12 opponents. So, your offense is going to get right against Cal. This just looks like a good game for UCLA. I mean, the thing that they do best is sort of like rushing defense. That's really the Cal's identity on offense, so they should be able to neutralize them there. This just looks like a bad matchup and a good spot for UCLA.
Yeah, I think blowout here. I'm not afraid to lay the points as well. Maybe that's why I had it on the schedule, or maybe I just subconsciously really needed Dad to complain about Chip Kelly, which I'm still not sure what your ire is toward Chip Kelly. I mean, I was trying to think, okay, well, did he beat the Titans when he's with the Eagles in a big spot? No, he didn't. So he's not looking at him. I'm not really sure.
Just
what
an
it is.
egomaniac. I mean, he just thinks he's another one
He's
of these
a
guys that
football
think
Most
they
of them
invented
are.
football. Well, I'm sick of him. I mean, it's just go
I mean,
away.
John, if you want to,
Are you gonna get out of politics,
Not an
Steven?
If he
egomaniac,
gets-
go to the big sky.
If he gets upset this week, you guys are going to be eating your words. I love Cal this
I'm
game.
going to.
I mean, I think you guys are giving the California Bears no credit. They covered 3 of the past 4 games. The one game they got blown out there, 63-9 or something. But they've covered 3 of the last 4 games. This is a competitive football team. You guys are giving them no love and no credit. I'm taking the 9.
Are you just furiously Googling how can Cal win this game? It feels like you came up with 6 stats while Dan and Nate were talking. You're just over there Googling why Cal can beat UCLA, and you just came up with they've
No,
covered.
because I picked them as soon as you said the game, and then you said why
That
did
was
you pick
after
this
you read
game?
the
I think this is a
preview for
great
this
game to pick. I like this game.
Yeah. You're super. I don't know about your research department when you're claiming they can make a New Year's 6 bowl at 6-6. Let's move on to Florida State at Florida here. Big game on the schedule. I don't know if Florida's any good, but Florida State, number 4 team in the country, been pretty solid all year long. Escaped some close games. A close game against Clemson earlier in the year, and some other stuff as well. I believe that Florida State is a 6.5-point favorite. They're on the road in Gainesville in the swamp. Over under is 49. Dan, we'll start with you, our guest here. Can Florida State cover this spread? I kind of like 6.5 better than 7, I guess.
It's tough to say because of the whole quarterback issue with Florida State, with Jordan Travis now done for the season. I think Florida State covers this because I don't think Florida is any good. I mean, you look at what the Gators have done. They've lost 4 in a row now, and it's looking like this is going to be a year without a bowl game for the Gators, which certainly is not what anyone expected when Billy Napier took over. And given what Florida has coming on next year's schedule, it's starting to look pretty likely that this might not end well for Billy Napier, and he might actually be on the hot seat and in serious trouble for 2024, because Florida's best win all season, they had that Tennessee win, but other than that, they have done basically nothing.
I mean, the problem with Florida is that Georgia sucks all the air out of the SEC East, and there's just no room right now for anyone to be that successful. And Florida just can't seem to feel the team that's competitive. They're the team that's usually the most competitive.
I mean, even if like, okay, you're not going to beat Georgia right now. You're still building your program, but a program like Florida should at least be getting to 8 wins and getting into a minor bowl game. I mean, to be sitting in this game at 5-6, needing to beat Florida State to qualify for a bowl, that's just not where this program should be.
No, never. I mean, I think one of the things with Florida is that they haven't really found a coach over the last 3 or 4 hires that have made much sense. I guess Dan Mullen was about the only one that had any success in the last 15 years before or after Urban Meyer. So they've really had some coaching issues, and I don't know. I mean, Napier was a really hot prospect on the coaching market that year. Nobody was shocked that he got that job, but it really hasn't panned out that much. Could be recruiting, could be all sorts of things. Nate, can Florida State cover this 6.5 without Travis?
I don't know. I mean, how do you handicap like this game, like with 2 quarterbacks that we know so little about, right? Yeah. I mean, so Mertz isn't playing for Florida. Max Brown, was decent, I guess, against Missouri and like the limited action we saw, but this is his first start. Rodemaker's replacing Travis for Florida State. He had 1 start against Jacksonville State in 2020, so we don't have a lot to go off of with him either. I mean, I think that Florida's really going to struggle to move the ball against Florida State. Florida State's got, a good defense, an elite pass defense. That's not the best formula for a guy who, very seldom makes or has never started. So I kind of just lean towards the under. I don't really want to play a side. I mean, I hope Florida State loses just because, I don't like the idea of them beating a bad Florida team and then getting into the college football playoff, if everything breaks their way. With a backup quarterback, I kind of want to see the best teams currently on the field. So I guess I'll be rooting for Florida a little bit, but I think the under is probably where my money will be.
Dad, any love for the Gators here?
No, it's a clown show.
Of the week.
It's a clown show. I mean, I agree with everything that Dan said. This team, they got real issues in Gainesville, and this Florida State team, 11-0, ranked number 5, fighting to get in. I mean, they're gonna go there. It's a better team, quarterback notwithstanding, and you watch Florida State play every week, and as I do, because we get them. You get every game now. They just happen to be on, but I love watching them. The speed of their offense. They have really great skilled players, and they're a fun team to watch. I don't see how the Florida Gators hang with them. I know it's a big game. I know it's a rivalry game. I know it's in Gainesville. I know it's in the swamp. I get all that. But you got to say to yourself, if this game was in Florida State, would the spread be 6.5 or would it be 13.5 or 12.5? Probably that. I just don't think, home field advantage is good when your team is competitive. I just don't see this here. I love Florida State minus the 6.5.
Yeah. I mean, it might be 13 if Jordan Travis was playing as well.
Right.
I like the under here. I think Nate's right on that. I mean, you got 2 backup quarterbacks. Might as well just take the under and pray for chaos. But we shall see. Look, guys, I'm up here. I'm staring at the lake. I'm at the lake up here with some folks. And one of the things is, they don't have any Beard Vet coffee up here. So, I've been telling them, look, thanks for your hospitality and everything, but you're going to have to get some Beard Vet coffee.
Wait a minute. You didn't bring it? You didn't bring your Beard Vet coffee like I do?
Well, I thought I was going to go to Pittsburgh to see you. My plans changed, and I know you're, knee deep in Beard Vet coffee. So I just, I didn't bring my backups, but so I don't have it out here. But I've been telling them, listen, you got to go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Promo code Godzilla. Get you 10% off all your coffee needs. That's the K cups. You can get the whole bean, grind them right up, and put them in your drip coffee, or you just get the grounds there. Cheap prices. Reasonable prices for excellent coffee, some of the best coffee on the market right now. And listen, if you like our show, if you like Godzilla Wins, you enjoy going to the website. I just talked to somebody yesterday at Best Buy who said, "Hey, listen, I love college football. I love playing the spread and playing all this stuff. I love doing the props. Where can I go?" I said, "Listen, just go to GodzillaWins.com and click on really any of these articles, Dan or Nate or any of our writers are publishing, and she was like, oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, I'll go do that. So if you want to support us and you love good coffee, go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Promo code Godzilla. Get you 10% off all of your coffee needs. And we love supporting them because Kenny and Sean they're just terrific people. So not only are you supporting us, but you're supporting some other terrific people as well. So go to beardvet.com. Some incredible coffee there. Okay, 12 minutes. Got a couple games to get through. Some of the big ones here. We cannot do a Godzilla Wins college football Saturday show without talking about Washington. My favorite team, love affair with Washington. Not even sure they're that good. Last couple of weeks, I haven't exactly been totally thrilled with their performance there. But, here we are. So Washington State is a 15.5-point dog going on the road there to the Huskies. Dan, we'll start with you. You've been not like a fade the Huskies guy, but maybe you've been a little skeptical of their staying power atop the top five here. So what do you think?
So I'm gonna date myself as a millennial here and say that Washington State is kind of like the equivalent of the blue shell in Mario Kart 64. Like somehow they just rubber band to everyone they play. Like the exception was the blowout against Arizona, but other than that, it doesn't matter who the caliber of the opposition is. Washington State always finds a way to play a close game one way or the other. So I think the spread is too high. It doesn't really have that much to do with Washington as it does with Washington State's ability to just play complete havoc with whatever the spread is and make it much more interesting than what the odds makers have. So Washington State plus the 16.5. And I really like the over here, even though it's a ridiculous total 66.5, because these pass defenses can't stop anyone, and these pass offenses are both very, very hard to stop anyway. So Penix has been outstanding. Washington State can throw the ball too.
Yeah, I mean, the over, I think, is a really good play, Nate. Last week, Washington State almost covered the over by themselves. It was 59. They scored 56 against Colorado. Colorado was able to get in the end zone twice and hit that over. They're an interesting team, like Dan's talking about with the spread. When they're an underdog, they're a cover monster. But when they're the favorite, because they play so close, they don't cover when they're an over. So, or when they're a favorite. So when they're an underdog, they're a pretty good play. What do you think?
I agree with Dan. I think that I especially like the over, I guess, just because, I mean, you go on ESPN, you can find enough about Penix, but Cam Ward is really good for Washington State too. I mean, he played a couple pretty good secondaries this season, Oregon State, and he threw for over 400 against both of them. Like, Washington's not that on that level of secondary, so I don't see why he won't have success against Washington either. This just feels like a high-scoring game between two quarterbacks that can move the ball, and two defenses that often, particularly in the secondary, have trouble sort of slowing teams down. So I think that, this should be a feast for both of them. There will be a lot of scoring in this game.
Dad, best bet of the week here?
Yes. Washington State plus 16.5. I like a lot of games this week, right? That's rare for me to do that in college football. I like one or two games. I like a bunch of games this week. I don't know if that's good or bad. This is the Apple Cup, right? I mean, these are always tough games.
This is the Apple Cup.
The thing is, you can't really figure out, and I agree with the analysis. You can't figure out this Washington State team, right? They win the first four games. They look really, really good. Then they lose six in a row. Like, how do you do that, right? Then you lose six in a row. Then you come back and you blow out Colorado, which I was on early in the season, and now it's a dumpster fire. So they can score.
It always was.
What? Well, you always said it was a dumpster fire.
I said it always was.
You said I was on the first two games. I made money the first 2 weeks, and then it was a disaster. That's for another segment, that whole Deion Sanders thing. But you look at this thing, you get 16.5. Washington State has only got beat by 2 touchdowns one time over that. So you got that going on. And the thing is about Washington, look, I love Washington, but they've been sputtering. I mean, it doesn't look like they're firing on all cylinders. And this is a very tough game. And I just something about this game at 16.5. I think Washington State can pull the upset. When I think a team can win and I'm getting 60.5, like I would not be shocked if they actually won this game or took it down to the wire. I love Washington State here with the 16.5. And look, they blew Colorado out last week. They looked really good on offense. So, high scoring game. I don't know about the over. 16.5 are just way too many. So I love Washington State. 16.5.
Yeah, listen, I don't know about that, but I do like the over here. I think the over is going to hit at 66 pretty easily. I'm going to very quickly just do Alabama Auburn without anybody. Then we're going to get to Ohio State Michigan. We got to leave some room for that. My one thing with Alabama Auburn and is that because the game's in Auburn, the money line right there for Auburn is plus 400. I think in Alabama Auburn, whoever the dog is, I just like to take the money line because you just never know. Those games of the Iron Bowl are very difficult to handicap. So if you're interested in a little bit of plus money, you just throw a little cash on Auburn. You never know. Alabama's looked incredible lately, but those upsets happen in that game. Crazy stuff happens in the Alabama Auburn game. Let's move to Michigan, Ohio State, biggest game of the week, maybe biggest game of the year, I suppose. Definitely a huge Big Ten game, although we've talked a lot about how Michigan may be not like a fraud, but hasn't exactly played anybody. But this is the game, right? So,
well, they played Penn State and kicked their ass.
Yeah, well, no, they didn't. I mean, yeah,
does that really count?
Like they beat them.
I don't know. I mean, you guys have been all over Penn State. You guys,
yeah, but
you guys have been all over Penn State.
That was before the Ohio State game. I mean, we had seen what Penn State did against a quality opponent. They just don't have the offense, and that happened again with Michigan.
Right. So, and look, so the spread is Michigan minus 3.5, which I kind of thought it would be a little bit closer. I'm sure it opened a little bit closer and moved. Dan, we'll start with you here. You've covered the Big Ten in your career for a long time. I know you know the importance of this game. I don't know if you've ever been to this game. I haven't. I would love to go.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, God, it would be a lot of fun. So, what do you think? Michigan minus 3.5. You like that play, or you like the Buckeyes?
So, I honestly don't feel confident about either team in the full game on play. The play that I like here is Ohio State moneyline first half, because what has happened the last couple years is Ohio State has been stronger earlier in the game, and then as the game wears on, Michigan's power starts to show through, and Ohio State fades down the stretch. Like it or not, Ohio State is going to have this reputation as a soft football team until they win a game like this. And I just don't know if they can pull that off. I do know that they can start pretty well, so I think they can lead at halftime. The other thing about this is points tend to come in this matchup. So I really like the over here. I think it's only 46.5. And you look at the last few meetings in this game, and I think it's been 4 straight where they've combined to score at least 68. So I don't see the defense as being that dominant in this game.
Yeah, you're right about that. It doesn't matter what the defenses look like coming into this game. Points tend to come pretty quickly. Nate, do you like that first half play, or you want to play the whole game?
I'll play the whole game. I mean, I like Ohio State, I think. I still think Michigan is kind of just a fraudy team. Ohio State might be too, but in a game between these two teams that I'm not convinced either is awesome. I guess I'll just take the points. I mean, it's 3.5 now. I'll ride with the Buckeyes in that.
Yeah, Dad, you like the Buckeyes?
I agree with Dan's analysis here. And I don't know about the first half. I agree with the second piece of his analysis. You look at this Ohio State team. And let's just be candid here, okay? Do any of you think they should have beat Notre Dame when Notre Dame had 10 guys on the field on defense in the final 2 plays?
Knew that was coming.
Do you guys really think that was a legit score for them at the end of that game? 2 downs, 10 guys. It took them 2 downs to score a touchdown. This is a team that should have gotten beat by Notre Dame. Does anybody think Notre Dame is scary this season, right? They blew out Navy, and then it's been all downhill. So all the talk about Michigan didn't play anybody. Michigan didn't play anybody. Michigan didn't play anybody. Okay. They played Penn State. Oh, Penn State's not that good. I bet Penn State in that game. I took 4, maybe 3.5, 5. I don't remember. I never really felt that I was in that game. So they did what they had to do. And Penn State's got a very good defense. They got all that speed. They ran right. They jammed it right up their butt, right down the gut. I don't like laying 3.5, but this might be the best team in college football here. And I said this at the beginning of the season that they were my pick to win it all. So 3.5, big house, 110,000 people. You can say Michigan hasn't beaten anybody. Okay. Well, Ohio State's not beating anybody either. So I just think they're a better team. I think up front, they're going to run the ball right up the middle. And I don't care who the coach is, Harbaugh, no Harbaugh, in the stands, in this hotel, doesn't mean. I think this is a story. These kids have come together, and I don't think this game is going to be close. I love Michigan. Don't like the 3.5. I'm going to bet the thing down to 3 because I can do that on the alternate spread. So I'm going to bet the thing down to 3. But my pick is Michigan minus 3.5. They're the better football team, and this team is very dangerous. They're going to be they're going to be very dangerous in that playoff because we don't know how good they are because they haven't played anybody.
That's true. So, Dad, if you ever get committed to a psychiatric hospital, it's going to be because somebody put 10 people on the field. Like that's what's going to lead to your breakdown.
Either that or because James Franklin ran a play in the final minute.
It's either going to be one of those two things. I don't know what was going through your mind when they put 10 people on the field, but I imagine you just flipped a table. You have been so angry about that for months now.
2 downs in a row.
Never put 10 guys on the
in
field.
The game when the game was on the line.
Right.
2 downs in a row.
Listen.
Now the only thing we need is for Cal to put 10 players on the field in a New Year's Six.
Yeah, there we go.
I love Cal in this game.
Then everyone gets arrested.
You guys are going to be eating all your words when Cal wins this game outright.
Loses to UCLA by 20.
Yeah, look, Dan, I can't wait to see Cal in the Peach Bowl this year. Okay, that's our
against Hawaii.
Yeah, right. That's our college football hour here. We want to thank Dan Angel as always. You can find him on X at DanAngel11 and Instagram Dan.Angel11 as well. We want to thank him. You go to GodzillaWins.com, find all of his coverage. Does a great job for us. Dan, we will see you next week. Coming up, James Tillman III, Mitch Rogers. Dan's
leaving?
No.
Oh, bummer.
All right, we're gonna see you in an hour or in a minute.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
All right, and we are back with some NFL coverage. We're going to welcome in James Tillman III here to talk some NFL coverage. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks, appreciate it, Jack. How are you today?
I'm really good. One of the reasons I'm so good is because I use my pillow to sleep with. So listen, we're getting up to the Christmas time here, and My Pillow makes some incredible, not necessarily stocking stuffers because you can't put a pillow in a stocking, but they do make a good gift under the tree or a good gift to send a relative who might be far away. So what I need you to do is go to mypillow.com. You go to mypillow.com. Put in the promo code FUN, F-U-N. That's promo code FUN. It's going to get you 80% off of any product or purchase. mypillow.com. Then you can get all sorts. You can get the MyPillow 2.0, or the incredible pillow. All you do with that is you get it, you throw it in the dryer, it fluffs up real nice, and you'll never sleep better than with that pillow. You get the robes, they got slippers, they got towels. I love the washcloths. Big washcloth guy here for MyPillow 2.0 or MyPillow. So go to mypillow.com. It's mypillow.com. Promo code FUN, up to 80% off all products. And you will not be disappointed. All right, James, we're going to start here with some NFL coverage, maybe a little recap of the Thursday games. I guess I want to do just a couple minutes. I know that Dan and Dad talked about the NFL recap earlier in the show, but let's just recap with you, James. Here we had 3 big Thanksgiving games, then 1 Friday night game. Just give me like 1 or 2 takeaways from those games. What you came away thinking?
Well, I'm not surprised by the the Dolphins and the Jets. I'm pretty sure that when they scheduled that game, they were they're hoping that Rodgers would be in the mix and that he wouldn't get injured on 4 plays into the season. So I'm sure they had that. I'm sure this was being predicted as a bigger matchup than it was. But and then I was surprised that Detroit lost on Thanksgiving, though. That was kind of surprised. I know they played bad, against Chicago.
Yeah, blown out, dude. Blown
out. I was surprised. I know they played bad three and a half quarters against Chicago, but I was definitely surprised to see that one. So those are my quick ones on those 2 games.
Yeah, Dad, look, I mean, I know you talked about this a little bit earlier, but is Detroit, are they a Super Bowl team? They have such a impressive record, but
no.
Game like Thursday really makes you think.
They have no defense. Jordan Love chopped them up like he did a better job slicing them up than I did carving the Thanksgiving turkey. He just went right through them like hot butter. And you can't get to the elite status when you make Jordan Love look like Joe Namath. That game was unbelievable. Guys wide open all over the field. They couldn't get pressure on him. And it exposed, I think that game exposed the Lions for the frauds they are. That was this just isn't a bad game like, Kansas City got shut out in the second half. Eagles made the adjustments at halftime. Their defense is solid except in the middle, and that's their vulnerability. But this was exposed. Like they took the mask off. Okay, this is a fraud team. When you lay that kind of an egg on Thanksgiving Day at home, when you can't stop a mediocre offense with a quarterback that's had a mediocre season at best, right? That's sat there behind Rodgers all this time. What? All of a sudden, Jordan Love breaks out and he's like Johnny Unitas. Give me a break. The team got exposed. They have no defense. Their pass rush absolutely sucks. Their secondary rivals the Titans. It's horrible. Super Bowl? No way. They got to figure out how they're going to win a game.
Well, they've won 8 games. I don't know if they need to go back to the drawing board just yet. I think the Lions have a lot of stuff to be.
Nate, when you watch that game, it just disagree with me or not. Did the Lions get exposed defensively or not?
I watched the game. I don't know if it was the Lions getting exposed defensively as so much as the Packers just got the ball on like the 35-yard line all the time because Jared Goff couldn't stop fumbling it and turning it over. It didn't there were just a lot of short field opportunities. I'm not sure the offense was just like a dominant unit against Detroit as much as Green Bay's field position the whole game.
Yeah, I don't think anyone got exposed there. I think the Lions will be just fine. Thursday games are always weird. We tend to think that because it's Thanksgiving, all of a sudden Thursday games aren't Thursday games, but they're still Thursday games. And teams don't play as well on Thursday. And then of course
Dallas did. Dallas played good, right? San Francisco played great. So like that doesn't make any sense. Some teams don't play good. The better teams on Thursday won. Dallas blew out Washington. They fired Del Rio. He had to go, right? So, they win that game. Miami blows out the Jets like they should have on the road. That was on a Friday. That was 24 hours ago. And then you look at that dominant performance by San Francisco in Seattle, one of the toughest place to play in the NFL. And Seattle was never in that game from the opening kickoff. They were never in that game at home, never in it. And this San Francisco team, man, I don't know. You look at the Eagles, you look at Dallas. That team, when everybody's back together, healthy, good luck beating them.
I think they're beatable. But let's move on to some of the games for Sunday here. Enough talking about teams that might win the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the Saints and the Falcons. So the Saints are
Do we have to?
traveling to Atlanta.
Is this the game we're leading with?
Yeah, well, it is. So the Falcons are a 1.5-point dog here at home in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Saints and the Derek Carr show will be taking their show on the road. James, do you like the Saints here +1 or -1.5, or can you bear to bet the Falcons for another week?
Yeah, I can't go with the Falcons here. So I like the Saints with the 1.5, and overall both teams are pretty bad against the spread. They're like a combined 4-15-1. But I just believe that the Saints, even though Derek Carr's status is questionable last time I read, I'm picking the Saints to cover that 1.5. I think that's doable.
Nate, you think it's doable, or you like the Falcons? We were all over the Falcons this season, but they suck.
Yeah, they do suck. I mean, the thing is like I just have this intense hatred for the Saints. It's totally irrational. I don't know why. I have not bet on them a single time this season, and usually I can find a reason to bet on at least almost every team by this point in the season at least once, and the Saints are not one of them. I just sort of hate them. I don't think Derek Carr is very good. I think that Jameis is laughably worse. It looks like Derek Carr cleared the concussion protocol, so it looks like he's going to play. That being said, I still kind of like Atlanta here. This just feels like a true coin flip game. I'd rather just take Atlanta at home against a Saints team that's just kind of trash.
Dad.
I mean, eventually Atlanta's got a winning game, right? Eventually. So
No. They don't.
you guys were all over the Falcons at the beginning.
Well, they were a cover machine last year. What's funny is maybe Marcus Mariota wasn't as big of a dumpster fire. I think honestly the problem with this is Arthur Smith. When we're just talking the Falcons for a minute, there's no nuance to the offense. They don't do anything interesting. They drafted a quarterback who's a disaster. He sucks. Now they're back with Heineke, I believe. And, they've got all these weapons, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Cordell Patterson, and they can't do anything. Their defense has been a little bit better this year. But overall, I think probably Arthur Smith was the wrong choice. I think in this day and age, hiring an offensive coordinator who's known for running the ball is just a really bad move. I don't care how many good running backs you draft. Teams that have good running games don't win Super Bowls. It doesn't happen anymore. You can't win in these games with teams that just score in 10 seconds. So, I mean, I think probably Arthur Smith has to go. That would be my assessment as a Falcons fan. It's been a bad year. But otherwise, you draft another quarterback and just try. There are so many bad quarterbacks in this league right now. It can be tough to watch week in and week out and watch all these quarterbacks who just suck. So, Dad, go ahead. There's my Falcons rant.
I agree with your Marcus Mariota analysis.
Maybe he wasn't as bad as we thought.
I mean, I think you look at the team now. I mean, they were winning games when he was the quarterback. I know towards the end there they kind of flipped, but he won a lot of games for them. He won. Joe was just telling me the other day because I was saying, "Oh, Mariota, remember him?" And Joe was like, "Well, remember he won a playoff game. He beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and to secure the win, he had a key block at the end of the game in order to get the first down to run out the clock." I'm like, "What? Did you remember that?" So maybe Mariota's not that bad. Having said that, Boy, Arthur Smith was a great offensive coordinator for Tennessee. He's just not been able to pull the trigger here in Atlanta. So Derek Carr is going to play. I'm going to go with the Saints minus 1.5.
So let's move on then. And I'm actually
And
going to.
by the way, Combatcom on Getter Live says John can't win. Bad word starts with an S. Just take all his bets and reverse. That's called fading. So there you go, right? I do bring value to the show.
Yeah, fading you is never a bad idea. I'm going to move the schedule around here because I just noticed I'd rather talk about the Sunday night game with James and the Steelers game with Mitch when he comes on. But so let's go to Jacksonville here at Houston, another game everybody's been talking about. Highly anticipated matchup here, Jags and Texans. Actually, not a bad matchup. Nate, I'm going to start with you because you're a huge Jags guy, but then you're also a huge Texans guy, so kind of conflicted here. Texans are a 1.5-point dog at home, so another small spread. Do you like the 1.5 for Houston, or is Jacksonville going to blow them out?
Yeah, man, I like Houston. I mean, they just keep winning. They that's I don't know how. CJ Stroud has just been incredible. Jacksonville obviously looked great last week against Tennessee. I'm sure John saw that. And I think that Jacksonville will be competitive, but I don't know. There's something weird about this Texans team. They just have some sort of magic. I'm not going to bet against them now. I like the Texans still.
James, you like the Texans here? You're getting some points?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston here as well. I like them at 6-3 against the spread versus their last 9 AFC matchups, and then they're also 7-3 against the spread against AFC South teams as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with them to cover here.
Dad, this has got to be your least favorite game in the history of football. Two teams.
This game blows.
Yeah. So
I really hate this game. I really hate even looking at it on DraftKings. It pisses me off. Everybody's saying, "Oh, this is the game for the AFC South." Yeah, it's because we suck. Okay. Here's the deal. All right, Jacksonville's legit. I don't know. C.J. Stroud might be one of the best quarterbacks, rookie in a long time. Everything you see about him, you got to like him. But this is a big game for a team that's really not played big games against a team that won a playoff game last season with a coach that won a Super Bowl. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with the Jags minus 1.5 on the road.
That's not a bad take to just go with some experience there. And Doug Peterson definitely doesn't disappoint in these types of games. So, I kind of like Houston just because they keep winning. Might as well ride the hot hand. But you really can't count out Jacksonville in a big AFC matchup like this. Maybe for the AFC South, definitely could be close to it. Now we're going to stay in the AFC South a little bit. Go to the Bucks at the Colts. If you go to GodzillaWins.com and you find Toby Reithray's picks, this is his best bet of the week. The Bucks and Colts. He's got an excellent column up right now. Very hilarious. So you can go to GodzillaWins.com and read that. I would really recommend it. He's very, very funny. So a lot of fun, and that's up right now. The Bucks going to Indianapolis on the road. Bucks are plus 2.5 here. James, we'll start with you. You like Indy minus 2.5, or is Tampa Bay the play?
I'm going to go Bucks here. A couple interesting stats I came across is that the Bucks tend to play better when they're able to score more than 20 points a game. They are 2-3 against the spread in the 5 games they haven't scored more than 20 points. And then also Indy, from a defensive perspective, they're 5-0 against the spread in 5 games they've allowed fewer than 20, and then they're 1-4 against the spread when they have allowed more than 20 points. But I'm liking the Bucks here. Nate.
I think I like the Bucks too. I mean, I kind of agree with what Toby says on the website on GodzillaWins.com. I just think that, the book is out on Gardner Minshew. We know what he is. There are things that he struggles with. I don't think Tampa's I don't think we're going to look back on this Tampa Bay defense in 10 years and think elite unit, but I think they're good enough to slow down Gardner Minshew and the Colts. So my inclination is there. I mean, this is at a fun number to tease it. We talk about teasers all the time. We're not going to belabor it here, but when you're at plus 2.5, if you can get it to 8.5, you cross some key numbers off. It's usually a good teaser candidate. So don't hate that, but I think just Tampa just on their own, just plus the 2.5 is probably fine too. I think they win outright.
Dad, before we throw it to you, I'm just going to read Toby's analysis here. Like I said, this this article is really top notch. He picks every game. He's very good at it. Or sometimes gets crushed. Tampa Bay plus 2.5. That's his pick. He says this one strikes me as very odd. Why on earth is Indianapolis getting points against a team with a pulse? I had to check the injury report just to see if Baker Mayfield was questionable with a hangover, but all I found were some defensive injuries from last week. Sure, it's not ideal to lose your corners at outside linebacker, but as long as we're not seeing Kyle Trask this week, I'm skipping my mortgage payment to put it on Tampa Bay. Tampa is still an under-the-radar, pretty good team so far in 2023. While I didn't love the matchup they had last week in San Francisco, I noticed that I was hoping to take them in a future week where they got a line that I perceived as disrespectful. And here it is, the very next week. I feel like I'm missing something here. Sure, they are on the road, but is Indy really all that difficult of a trip? Can they manage potentially without their top corners to stop the aerial circus of Gardner Minshew, fresh off hanging 10 points on the Patriots? Let me check the weather. Nope. It looks like the forecast calls for room temperature this week. I'm sure Indy will slap the Bucs around and make me look foolish, but for now, I love taking the Bucs to win this one straight up, let alone 2.5-point cushion. This feels like another big Mike Evans game as well. Dad, what do you think? That's Toby's.
I'm gonna fade Toby here big time. The Bucs have lost, let's see, 5 out of their last 6 games. And who's the one team they beat at home to not lose 6 straight? Tennessee, who is this is a disaster team right now. So that's the only team they beat, and they beat him by it was like 17-6 or something. I mean, I'm going to go with Minshew here. I'm going to go with the veteran quarterback. Indian home. They're just a better team. The Tampa Bay is horrible, right? They got blown out last week. You lose 5 out of 6 games, and now you're going on the road. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Colts and fade Toby. Although the article's fabulous, and he's a great read. Go to GodzillaWins.com. He's a tremendous asset to our team.
Yeah,
But here I'm going to fade him.
Definitely, he's entertaining, if nonetheless. Sometimes he does get crushed though in these games. We'll move on, James, to the Pats at the Giants. We're going to save both the Titans and the Bears for the next pick here. So let's go Patriots at Giants. Oh Lord, I don't know who.
Oh Lord,
this game,
Lordy.
Lordy. Patriots are minus 3.5. James.
Oh my God.
Like, what do you do here?
This game was a pretty bad one, between a pair of bad teams. And they're, both of their records against the spread shows as much. New England is 1-5 in their last 6. Actually, at 1-5 in their last 6 against the Giants. So that's one reason to possibly go with the Giants there. And they're also 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games. But I did find it interesting that the Giants are 10-5 in their last 15 November games. But even without that stat, I do like the Giants. I mean, not that they're world beaters or anything, but I like them.
I like the Giants just because somebody's going to win this game 3-0, right? So if you get 3.5, you win. Whoever was the 3.5-point underdog, I would take them. I mean, how can you bet the Patriots and lay 3? That would be like taking the Jets and laying 3.5 when they get shut out. Like, you can't possibly win the bet. So I'm going to go with the Giants and take the. Plus, they're at the Meadowlands. Hey, the auto strike just ended. Jimmy Hoffa, as you know, is buried under the 50-yard line at the Meadowlands. That may have something to do with it, right? I'm going to go with the Giants plus 3.5. How can you legitimately bet the Patriots and give 3.5 points to anybody? Giants.
Yeah, Nate. I mean, this has got to be an under, right? Geez, it's got to be the under.
I mean, I don't know. This game hurts a lot to think about. I mean, I've seen people refer to it as the Tommy DeVito legacy game last week, which I kind of love. So we might be riding a little too high on Tommy DeVito. I mean, last week against the Commanders, when he actually did have a pretty decent game, remember that was basically Jack Del Rio's death rattle as a defensive coordinator for the Commanders, and then he gets fired the next week. So, the Commanders were already having problems before, Tommy DeVito gashed them. He also got sacked 9 times that game against a not very good defensive line, and the Giants also forced 6 turnovers, so they had a lot of opportunities to throw the ball. That probably won't happen again. I guess. All right. I just like the Patriots because Bill Belichick owns rookie quarterbacks. I'll just say it. I like the Patriots.
Although I think all those Belichick
that is good analysis. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you got to kind of throw those Belichick stats out the window these days because he's just so bad now. So all these trends where you're like,
That's why I hate it a little bit.
Yeah, like does Belichick own rookie quarterbacks or does Brady? Because Brady, it could be Brady that owned rookie quarterbacks. It's really hard to find these trends convincing with Belichick this year. This has been such an embarrassing year for him, and who knows if they're going to move on.
Hey, you guys are being really hard on Belichick. Now, you know what?
Why?
I love watching the
Patriots. The worst roster in the league, and he might have the worst team.
Exactly. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? The guy's been a winning football coach forever.
It's all his fault.
He has one bad season. You guys are throwing him under the bus.
This isn't one bad season. He sucks without Brady. I mean, I don't think he's made the playoffs. Maybe he made the playoffs once, but he stinks. I mean, like,
you guys believe in Mac Jones or not?
No, he's not even playing.
James,
it might be,
do you believe in
Mac
Mac
Bailey Zappi this week?
Or Steve Zolak. I mean, who it's not Mac Jones. Mac Jones never taken another snap of the Patriots again, and that was a horrible pick too. So no, let's move on to. I'm tired of talking about this. Let's move on to the Titans game.
Wait, but I just want to say one thing. Watch the most fun thing is watching the Patriots, and when they do something really stupid, I gotta take my glasses off here if you're on Get or Live, and to see Belichick rubbing his hands down his face and rubbing his eyes. That's got to be the funniest thing. And he probably does that now 5 times a game where he just is covering his face and shaking his head. That's a classic.
Yeah, well, he'll probably be coaching the Giants next year. Panthers.
You guys are hard on him, man.
Titans. Panthers at Titans. Titans are a 3.5-point favorite, Dad. So when you play the worst team in the league at home, you get 3.5 points. We'll start with Dad here, then we'll go to James and Nate. Dad, can the Titans cover 3.5 points?
Oh my God, guys. This is how bad we are, okay? This game opened at 5.5. It's been bet down 3.5. So Vegas is all over the Panthers here. I mean, they bet him down by 2 points in 3 days since the game opened at 5.5. Now they're 3. I think it's going to go off at 3. Personally, I want the Panthers to win. Why? Because right now we're playing for a draft pick. Maybe we get the first draft pick. Maybe we lose out and go 3-15 or no 3-14, and the Panthers win 3 games and they beat us and we get the first pick. I mean, this team they are so bad, and there's so many issues here with Tennessee. But look. If you're going to bet the game, Will Levis, I mean, maybe he's good. He had a couple good games, but our offensive line is a disaster. The secondary is pitiful, especially without Kevin Byard in there. Now they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. I would not be surprised at all if they didn't win this game at home. Only reason that I would not bet Carolina is Frank Reich never beats the Titans. He never beats Vrabel. Vrabel always beats him. So and he's just a horrible coach. That's another franchise disaster show. So these are just 2 pitiful teams. No way I would lay 3.5. No way.
Yeah, James, I'm not sure I would encourage Dad to be rooting for draft picks. I know as a Bears fan, it hasn't exactly worked out for you in the past. I would say that just being like, well, good, we have the 7th, pick in the draft. That'll solve it. It's not working out for a lot of our franchises here. James, do you think the Titans can cover that 3.5?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. It's no secret. We know the Panthers are bad, right? They're 1-9. I mean, I know both teams are coming into this matchup on the strength, if you will, on three-game losing streak. So neither team is like overly good, but and the against the spread numbers kind of horrific too for both teams. Actually, Carolina is 2-6 in their last 8, and they're winless on the road in their last 5 as far as the spread is concerned. And then you flip it with Tennessee. They're 1-5 in their last 6, 1-4 in their last 5 November games, and 5-11 in their last 16 games played in Week 12. So, like I said, neither team is all that great against the spread. But
Of course,
I'm going to go.
the only hesitation here, honestly, betting Carolina now, if we're just getting serious, is the Titans do win at home, right? They're undefeated this season at home. They can't win on the road. They haven't won a road game in 13 months, but they do win at home. So this game's at home. They should win this game, and 3.5, I guess. So if you have to bet the game, it's tough to bet a team that's 1-9 on the road.
Nate, the Titans suck, but so do the Panthers.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at with it. Is we assume home field advantage is 2.5, 3 points in the NFL, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Are the Panthers only are the Panthers only half a point worse than the Titans? I think that the Titans are at least a little bit better than that. I just don't think they're the same team, and we're just looking at home field advantage being the difference maker. I think that the Titans are better despite being very bad, just because Carolina is so bad. They're just so much worse. There are just multitudes of this. So I guess I kind of lean Titans here, but gosh, I think you can find something better to bet on.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Look, the Titans are 3-1 at home. They're not undefeated, but they're 3-1, and they are better than the Panthers. They just they have more ways to win. I think they probably.
Well, you're counting the home game. You're counting the home game, the game that they got beat in the United Kingdom. Technically that's a home game, but that was not in Nashville. They played 3 games in Nashville. They're 3-0. You're counting the game in London.
So the Titans can only win a game if they are in if they're in the greater metropolitan. The minute they leave Nashville, they're done.
Right. So they don't win. Yeah, exactly. They haven't won a game out of Nissan Stadium in 13 months, right? So they go out of Nissan Stadium, 13 months go by, they don't win a game. And got to look at the other thing. They lost 7 in a row at the end of last season. Now they're 3-7. So they're 3-14 in their last 17 games. This is a franchise in decline. That we got so many issues. No offensive line, no secondary. Now we're not getting a pass rush. Henry's gone. Tannehill's gone. The futures that quarterback from Kentucky, Court's out. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Look, we're gonna move to the Sunday night game here to get James's thoughts on this Bears at Vikings big Sunday night game for Chicago here. I'm sure James has a lot to say on the website. So listen, James. Bears are a 3-point dog here. We'll start with you. Over under 43. Primetime game. I don't know. Is Justin Fields back? I think he is. Yeah. So What do you think?
Well, first of all, after watching last week, there was a stat I included in my article that because Bears dominated Detroit, time of possession, and all that jazz, +3 turnover margin, and they still found a way to lose that game. And that was the first time since 1932 that a team had the ball for 40+ minutes and a +3 turnover margin. So that is ridiculous. So it's like, I know that, Dobbs, there's, I came across a stat that said he's playing with his 7th team in 7 years, including 3 this season. But the Bears, just to me, they just find different ways to lose games when they're ahead by a wide margin. I can't understand why the play calling was what it was. 26-14, 4:15 left. And then it just seems like that the play calling, they were playing not to lose more than to win. So with that, so you guys can get in on this. I'm just going to say I'm going with the Vikings here.
This is a bounce back game for your Bears. Okay, that You have a game like that where you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and that's
Yeah.
basically what happened. No way you lose that game. They dominated Detroit in every aspect of the game. No way with 4.5 minutes with that lead you lose that game, but they did. So look, a week goes by. They got to come to grips with reality. You watch the NFL a lot. Teams bounce back from this stuff, and you made the key analysis here. Dobbs, 7 teams, 7 years. Why? Okay. He was with Tennessee last season. He lost every game down the stretch, including the Jacksonville game where we had the lead. All he had to do was hand off the ball and he fumbles it. Okay. That's why he's been with 7 teams in 7 years. So I know he's had 3 great games. Yay, rah, rah. Bears go to Minnesota, win this game outright. I'm taking the 3. It's a bounce back week.
Nate, no way this is a bounce back week.
What's that?
No way this is a bounce back week.
Yes, it is. Bounce back.
I mean, I think it could be. I'm just not
Nate's
sure
with
that the
me.
Vikings are
Thanks,
that.
Nate.
I'm not sure that the Vikings are that good with Josh Dobbs. I mean, they played some good games, but the Bears are look like a decent team lately.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I mean, that game against Detroit was good. I mean, they lost, and they're still not a good team, so they're going to find ways to lose against good teams like Detroit. That's just how that goes. It's just what the NFL is like. It's hard for bad teams to close out games against good teams. But I think there's a lot to like about how the Bears have played the last few weeks. So I kind of like the Bears here. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they won outright, but I think, I can see them finding a way to lose this by a field goal at the end for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like the Bears here too. And I think, the most telling thing here is that they're only plus 130 on the money line. I mean, I don't think the Vikings really have much to show for this. I think it'll be a disaster, whatever happens, because it's Sunday night and it's these 2 teams playing in prime time. So I don't think it's going to be like an awesome viewing experience, but I do kind of like the Bears. I think James is just hate betting his team. He's hate fading the Bears there because he's tired of watching them just blow lead after lead here. So listen, James, we want to thank, as always, you for coming on and talking with us about the Bears and some of the other teams here. On Twitter, you can find James at TillJam3. You can find his writing at GodzillaWins.com. Covers the Bears for us. Does a great job with that. Does a great job with the NBA as well. James, thanks so much for coming on this week. Hope you have a good rest of your holiday weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend as well.
Absolutely.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. That's right. We're gonna welcome in our Pittsburgh Steelers writer here, Mitch Rogers, with us this week. Always happy to see Mitch. Glad he could make it for the Thanksgiving holiday. Dad, before we welcome in Mitch, though, before I forget, because I think tell us if you're in Virginia, which I believe Mitch is, how anyone in Virginia can take advantage of all of the great rewards at Rosie's Gaming Emporium.
Tell you what, man, I know Mitch lives in Virginia now. He's going to love going to Rosie's because they got so many locations. That's what I love about him so much. You can go to Dumfries, which is in Northern Virginia. They've got Vinton by Roanoke. They got Hampton. They've got Richmond, South Richmond, right by our studio. And it goes on and on and on. Then they've got Collinswood right by Danville. They've got Hampton in Hampton Roads. Everything is there. The thing about Rosie's, if you like to play games, if you like to play the wheel, if you like to play the slot machines, they got the biggest payouts and the biggest jackpots of anywhere in the country. Why? Because they have a lower takeout, which was the deal they made with the state of Virginia to get the license. Now, what does that do? That means as a player there, you're going to have a bigger payout because the state is not taking as big of a take as Vegas and everybody else. So that's your advantage. The second thing is it's just a great experience. If you want to have fun, you go to Rosie's. That is like the fun place to go. Take your significant other there. It's a great place for a date, or if you're married, just a date night like Anna and I did when we were there. We had such a good time. The food is great. The service is great. The drinks are great. Everything is great. Plus, they got a big sports bar upstairs. If you do that, they are all there. Go to rosiesgaming.com, rosiesgaming.com. You're going to have so much fun. rosiesgaming.com. You can thank me later.
Well, I want to go. I live close to Dumfries, so I could hit up the Dumfries location this week.
Yeah, You're gonna have a lot of fun there. Your mic is over modulating, so you want to turn that down just a little bit, and you're good to go. By the way, Mitch, I've got 2 tickets if you want them. Steelers, Arizona on Sunday the 3rd, 50-yard line. So you can text me after and tell me if you want them because
Well, I'll go talk to my manager, my wife.
Yeah, Ann and I have to go to Philadelphia. But yeah, just text me after the show.
I will. Oh, is Mike sound better?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, let's keep going with these games. We got a few more to get through. Okay, so let's go to Rams Cardinals. Cardinals are a 2.5-point underdog to the Rams. The total is 45. Mitch, why don't you lead us off? Who do you like in this game, Rams or Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, this is a different Cardinals team, obviously, with Kyler Murray back, and he's starting to, kind of play like the way we've seen him in the past. So the stories about him being washed up seem to be gone, and this LA team is just so up and down. I'm going to go with Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona. Take the points, the +2. Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Cardinals.
I'm with Mitch here, 100%. Kyler Murray's back. He looks like he's having fun. And when he has fun, they win. As bad as the Cardinals are, as bad as the culture is and everything else, bad as the coaching staff is, Kyler Murray is elite when he feels like playing and he actually spends 5 minutes in the film room. So he's drawing up plays in the backyard dirt like the old days. And LA, who the hell knows what you get? 1 week from the next, you just don't know. I'm going to go with the Cardinals here in Phoenix. Take the 2.5. Nate?
Yeah. Okay. So this game for me is annoying because both these teams are not good. And this feels like just a conversation we're having now, where it's just like, oh, this team is bad. This team is bad. They're all bad. And I have no idea who's ever playing quarterback for anyone anymore, or what these quarterbacks are going to look like. Kyler has looked really good. Both of these defenses have had trouble stopping people. Arizona had a lot of trouble with handling, Houston and CJ Stroud, but a lot of people have. I guess my inclination is that these are both not very good teams. It's a divisional game. It feels pretty coin flippy. I'd rather not take the points. I feel like both teams will be able to score against a couple pretty porous defenses. So I'm inclined to go over 45 points. That feels gettable to me, particularly with Kyler on the field for Arizona. But in terms of playing aside, like I can't justify taking either team right now. Jack, you're back.
I'm back. Did we get to Mitch on the Rams?
We did.
Yeah.
All right, great. Listen,
Around the horn.
Yeah, good. Glad you went around the horn. Glad I missed that game. I have no interest in talking about the Rams and Cardinals, but I'm glad you guys got to waste 5 minutes on it. So, Mitch, I want to circle back to the Steelers game, which we skipped for the early segment just to talk about now Steelers-Bengals. And I believe also this is going to be a Matt Canada-less Steelers, right? I mean, they fired Matt Canada.
Yeah, I mean,
free at last, free at last.
It feels like a sense of relief. But the bottom line is you still have Kenny Pickett behind center. You're not changing that offensive scheme. They promoted. They're doing like a dual offensive coordinator scheme with Eddie Faulkner, the running back coach, who's well liked, and Mike Sullivan going to be calling the plays. Now, what's very key in this situation is moving Eddie Faulkner up at the running back coach. That means that they're going to key in on this running game, and I think that's really what got Canada fired. I mean, Jalen Warren had over 150 yards. If you took that over 38.5 last week, you won. But he only carried the ball 9 times. I mean, that was the problem. I mean, you have to feed that kid, give him 20 carries a game, and I think that's what happens here. So as that pivots to the Bengals game, the Bengals obviously have their backup quarterback in. It's not the same situation as Cleveland. Cleveland seemed ready to roll with whoever's at quarterback. They have an identity. They have a running attack. The Bengals struggle with running the ball. They're going to have to get that going to have a chance to really salvage their season. So again, I'm a homer. I'm going to go with my Steelers again, just because of the Bengals situation and at that offensive position. All we need to be is we were 30th ranked. If we're just 23rd.
How'd you lose that game? How'd you lose that game last week?
The last drive of the game, they didn't hand the ball off one time. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren were running wild through that offensive line. That last series, three passes, 3 and out, done. Cleveland goes down the field and scores. It just they couldn't tolerate it anymore. And the Steelers haven't fired a coach since 1942 in season, so that did not come lightly. So, but again, they're 30th ranked. If this move makes them 20th, then they can make some noise, because as we're going through these picks, this NFL is garbage. There's maybe 4 or 5 good teams, decent teams. I mean, now it's up for the taking. So they had to do something. I'm glad, and so for that reason, I will take them over the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are in an interesting position because Kenny Pickett's not a disaster. But
Yes, he is.
he's not Lamar Jackson, and he's not Joe Burrow. He's maybe not Deshaun Watson. It's one of the only divisions where, if everybody's healthy, I mean, there's like real quarterbacks on each team. I think Kenny Pickett probably be fine in the future, but having Matt Canada out from under that is, I think, a good thing. Now, as Nate said, we do have a lot of games to get through. So Mitch is going with the Steelers there. They're -2, so they're the favorite because of the injury. Nate, we'll go to you then, Dad. Then we'll kind of bounce around and do some other games pretty quickly, catch up on the schedule.
I like the Steelers here. I only played a couple games. It's a pretty light betting card for me. The only games that I've really actually put my hard-earned money on already are I played the Texans and I played the Steelers. I like the Steelers here. I just don't. Their defense is still good. It should be a little bit healthier. And I just don't trust. I just don't know how you can trust the Bengals with Jake Browning. I mean, the Bengals already had a bad defense. Matt Canada getting fired obviously doesn't hurt the Steelers' offense. I agree with Mitch that he's not really necessarily the whole problem. Like, Kenny Pickett is very limited as a quarterback himself, but I think they can do enough against a very bad Bengals defense. So I like the Steelers.
Dad, you going with the Steelers? You're up there in the Berg.
Steelers -2. Here's why. It's what Mitch said, right? Browns have an identity if I was their quarterback, right? What's the Bengals' identity? Joey Burrow. He's not there. I don't know where this team's going, how they get there. Their season's over. So, I mean, if you're in the Bengals now, you're not going anywhere. Even if you sneak into the playoffs, you're getting beat in the first round. Him going down is the heart and soul of this team. I like Pittsburgh going in there, running the football, winning this game like 16-10 or something like that. So I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, I like the Steelers too. I mean, I think that's a good play here. I mean, the Bengals don't have a quarterback, and the Matt Canada firing only helps, doesn't hurt. So, we'll see. Let's stay in the division here. Browns at Broncos. Here's a game everybody circled on their schedule in August. Actually, they may actually have circled it in August before we saw everything shake out. And I mean, the Broncos haven't been like a horrible team to watch all year long. It's been kind of up and down. I wouldn't exactly say Russell Wilson is back, but they're winning more games than they did last year. Broncos are a 1.5-point favorite at home against Cleveland, who, like Mitch said, no Deshaun Watson, but they do have an identity. Mitch, we'll start with you. Do you like the Broncos at -1.5?
I do. I do. I'm going to go with the Broncos here. But we talked about a team that doesn't have an identity, and the Steelers probably the same way in the previous one. These two teams both have identities. They play defense, they run the ball, and they win the turnover margin. That's it. That's their simple formula, and both teams do this well. The Broncos have just had a resurgence. 19 touchdowns and 4 interceptions for Russ, but it's the running game and the defense. So I'm going to. It's going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be about a field goal game, but I'm going to go with the home team here, Denver.
Mitch, I'm going to fade you here. I love Cleveland going to Denver with that defense. I mean, this has got to be one of the best defenses I've seen in a very long time. You can't run on them. You can't pass on them. They get pressure every single play. That's what their identity is. Denver's won a couple games this season. They really shouldn't have won. It's all this, Sean Payton this and Sean Payton that. Remember, this is a pretty bad football team overall, playing against the team that they believe that they can get to the Super Bowl, and they believe they can beat Kansas City and they can beat anybody in there. That defense wins championships. Your father said that, so did mine. I'm saying it now to my guys. Defense wins championships. I love watching this team play defense. I don't care who their quarterback is. They're going to go in there. They're going to shut Denver down. I love the Browns. If the Browns were -3, I'd still be on it. I'm getting 1.5. This is my best bet of the week. Cleveland in Denver winning that whole game.
Nate, I don't really understand Dad's analysis here. I mean, the Broncos have won 4 straight. So, I mean, they've really turned things around. And within that, they've also only failed to cover once. So, I mean, are you fading the Broncos too? I kind of like the Broncos.
No, I'm not fading the Broncos. I mean, I don't know how you can bet on. I mean, the Browns defense is elite, right? They're pretty much first in almost everything that you look at when you look at defensive rankings. But I'm not really sure that I'm willing to back Dorian Thompson-Robinson on the road against a Broncos team that's getting a lot better pretty quickly. I mean, the defense after they got embarrassed against Miami, the defense has actually been okay for Denver. You know, and the offense has had some life. People have sort of talked about, you know, oh, the offense is pretty good. Some of that's just Russell Wilson doing fluky stuff like he does. It doesn't look super sustainable to me. But you know, this game just feels low scoring, I guess is where I'm going with it. I think that the under is probably the play. The total is really low, but it doesn't feel low enough. I mean, Cleveland only managed 13 points last week against Steelers defense that was pretty banged up. I don't see how they managed to score a bunch against a Denver defense that's, you know, pretty decent themselves.
I mean, you know,
Well, hold on, Dad. We got
something else. I mean,
yeah, well,
they
I
got
understand.
beat by the Jets. I mean, they got the Jets laid 31 on this.
Yeah,
this
listen,
team, but go ahead.
Yeah, Dad, I hate to interrupt you, but we got a lot of games, only 11
All right.
minutes to get
I
through.
like
So
the
let's,
Browns.
yeah, I know you do. Well, you hate the Broncos. You always have. You don't like the Tom Brady. So Chiefs at Raiders here. I'm just going to give everybody about 25, 30 seconds. This is not a game I really want to spend a bunch of time on. The Raiders suck. They're at home in Vegas. Raiders plus 10 on the spread. Mitch, 30 seconds. Do you like the Chiefs or the Raiders?
I know this is crazy. I like these points, and I like the Raiders. Josh Jacobs, they're going to keep that game close. I don't know when the last time Kansas City hasn't scored in the second half in like half a year. They don't even know how to score. Their really wide receivers can't catch a ball. They don't pull away. This isn't the same Kansas City team. Raiders, what is it, 9? Give me the 9. Raiders.
It's up to 10 now. Been played up to 10.
10.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yep.
like
Give me
the
more.
double-digit spread here?
Yep. Going Raiders.
Nate?
Oh, me? I like the under here. This is the third game I bet, the third and final game I have action on. I like the under. I mean, Kansas City should shut down the Raiders. We all know what Andy Reid does with the lead, where they just grind the clock out and just start playing, you know, really slow and really deliberately, basically from the second half onwards. It just feels like an automatic under for me.
Dad?
What do you think? What do you think Kansas City's locker room was Monday night when they get shut out in the second half at home in the rain? You think they had fun? You think they had fun Monday night? You think they had fun on Thanksgiving? Right? What do you think? I think they're friggin' pissed. I think they're going to go to Vegas and blow out the Raiders. I believe in bounce back games. This is going to be a crushing. Kansas City's pissed. They're a much better team than they showed in that second half on Monday night. They go into halftime up 17-7, dominating the game, and then they can't score. They got drop passes all over the place. Chiefs minus 10 blowout.
Yeah, I kind of hope the Chiefs lose so we can start getting articles like, is Taylor Swift too much of a distraction for the Kansas City?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know that's coming. Andy Reid mum on the Taylor Swift, you know, drama in the locker room, blah, blah, blah. So I'd love to start seeing that just for a little bit of variety.
Kelsey had a big drop last week too. See,
Right, he did. I mean, hey, listen, you know, you got to stay focused this time of year. Aaron Rodgers would never be caught dead with a celebrity. Okay, so let's go to the Bills at Eagles here. This is a huge, huge game. Although I don't know, you know, the Bills have been kind of lackluster, but still a pretty big game here. We'll start with Mitch when it comes to the Bills Eagles. I'm going to tell you the spread in a minute, Mitch, but go ahead. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Bills plus 3. That's the spread.
Bills plus 3. Okay, obviously the Bills had a bounce back game last week. I cannot figure this Bills team out for the life of me. There's no way. I mean, the Eagles seems like it should be a higher spread, so I think they're trying to fool me here. But I'm going to go with the Eagles minus 3 on here. I just don't trust the Bills at all.
Nate, what do you think?
I like the Bills too. I mean, the Bills, if you just take away turnovers, the Bills are pretty good on offense. The Eagles should have lost that game against Kansas City. I mean, there were a couple fluky turnovers there at the end. That MSV drop or MVS drop, Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropping a ball that was just dead in his hands that could have changed the game. There was a lot of luck that went into that Philly win. I think Buffalo. I like Buffalo here.
Dad, I know you like Philly.
All the Eagles do is win games. They just win games. They go to Kansas City, they win a game. They go here, they win a game. They go there, they win a game. All the team does is win games. And so I'm going to go with the team that's winning games as opposed to the team that loses games, which is Buffalo, right? Which is what, 6-5 or something? I mean, they got 4 losses on the season. I don't see the Bills here. They got to go to Philadelphia. The Eagles are coming off this huge win. That was a huge win. You know, that was one of the highest watched Monday night games in the history on Monday because, you know, a lot of people had off and stuff. So high, like 40 something million. I mean, it was a huge audience and the Eagles just shut them out in the second half. But I tell you what, I'm going to tell you again, their one vulnerability is the linebacking crew is very suspect. Maybe Allen finds a way to get there. That's how come this thing is only 3. But until Buffalo shows me some semblance of consistency, I got to go with the Eagles. Coupled with the fact that, you know, Josh Allen is going to throw 2 interceptions, right? He always does it in these big games. So I'm going to go with the Eagles -3 just based on that.
2 more games to get through here. We're going to do actually, I think maybe I messed that up because of just one more game. Ravens at Chargers. So I believe this is the Monday night game, I think. So this is going to be Ravens at Chargers. We got a little bit of time. We can talk about this game a little bit more. Interesting game, especially for the AFC North fans in the building here. The Ravens are a 3-point favorite, traveling all the way to Los Angeles. Over-under is 48.5. Mitch, we'll start with you. Baltimore Ravens -3. I don't know. I mean, God, I feel like this should be like -6. I'm not really sure I get the Chargers love here. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I think what you're missing is just historically the Ravens they can't figure out a way to separate themselves. So right now they're the number 1 seed in the AFC. They have a bye week coming next week. This has all the makings of them being able to separate themselves from the Browns and the Steelers and even the Chiefs if they slip up against the Raiders, like I may have predicted. But they never do. Lamar Jackson, it seems like there's this fatal flaw where they just keep everyone around, keep everyone in games, and so it scares me. I'm going to take San Diego. I mean, I'm going to take the Ravens because I think this is the year that they just finally put that statement game together. Then they have a bye week because, as we know historically, this team goes as far as Lamar Jackson goes. In the last few seasons, he always gets hurt, like in this next 3 or 4 week span. So this is a big deal for them in December, and their bye week being in December is huge for them to make this run to keep Lamar healthy. I think he gets it down. I know he tweaked his ankle last week, but I hate him. I hate the Ravens with all my heart and all my being, but I think they win this game and separate themselves in the AFC.
Dad, do you believe
you just can't bet San Diego? You can't bet San Diego, right? Look, I'm a Giants fan. We're 3-7. We know we sucked, right? We just don't have the roster. I get it. Rebuild, whatever. San Diego or LA, the Chargers, you look at this roster, why isn't this team like battling Kansas City for the top of the division? How do they lose these games week after week? Yeah. They pulled defeat from the jaws of victory. If you're a Chargers fan, you got to be, look, I don't have any hair. You got to be pulling out your hair. I mean, this team is so frustrating. At least we know how bad we are. They shouldn't be this bad. But, Mitch, they don't win games. I don't know what it is that they do. They find a way to lose. On paper, they got a great offense. They got a decent defense. They got a great D-line. They just don't win games. And they got a tremendous offensive line. They just don't win games. I'm with you. I think the Ravens here are going to go on a run. Lamar Jackson's healthy, and when he is, they're tough. Right now, DraftKings has it -3.5. Ravens -3.5. This might be the team to beat in the AFC.
I think so.
Well, here's the thing I like about this game, I'll say. The Chargers are the over-under is 3-7 in Chargers games. What that means is the under is hit 7 times, the over 3 times. And one of the reasons I really like the under in this game is because I think that the Chargers are every week the Vegas is sort of overestimating how much they can score based on the past years where, Justin Herbert can score a lot of points. And that just hasn't been the case this year. The under has just been lighting up. Now, we know the Baltimore can score, but I'm not sure that with everything going on, the West Coast travel, the fact that they have a bye week next week, I'm just not sure that they can get to 48.5 here. Still pretty high over under. So I'm going to go with the under here just based on the recent trends. We're going to end the show with Nate. Nate, Ravens, Chargers. You like the Ravens -3?
I like the over, actually. After your impassioned defense of the under, I kind of like the over, to be honest with you.
What? All right, whatever. Why?
I mean, the Chargers have the worst defense in the league, basically. I mean, they're just terrible. They're bad at basically everything. Baltimore, should be able to score a lot against them. The Chargers just look like a team that's just in total disarray. I can't believe they haven't fired Staley yet. I guess, I see Baltimore being able to score against the Chargers. I think that the Chargers will probably just be turning Herbert loose because they'll be down early and be having to chase. This just feels like a little bit of a high-scoring game. At some point, these primetime unders are going to stop hitting at historic rates. And this feels like a spot where maybe that happens.
Thanksgiving, you got the two overs hit on the first, and they were pretty high. The first two games, things. Yeah, I may have
the Sunday night game.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet my car on the under fight you because of your ridiculous take there. I hope the under hits. But yeah, you're right. I mean, at some point, we have to get a regression back to the mean when it comes to these primetime over-unders. But you never know. We want to thank Mitch Rogers for joining us for the last half of the show here. Mitch, always great to see you. You're a great guest and a terrific writer. Your Steelers articles are very popular on the website, so we're happy to have you here. Keep up the great work. Have a great holiday weekend. You can. We also want to thank James Tillman III for showing up today, and Dan Angel for coming in for the college football. Should be a great weekend of both college football and NFL. This is the football season. Right from now until about January is when we really all lock in on football. Should be a lot of fun. We want to thank everyone for the show. My dad, Godzilla of Truth, Nate Perry. As always, thanks everybody for joining us and listening this week. We'll be back 8 a.m. sharp Eastern time next week. Up next, you're in the War Room.